I think the uniqueness, of course, is that Arkansas hasn't been a 2 seed for a while. So a 2-3 matchup is not something they've had to deal with. It's been the 1-4 and kind of assume they're going to win on Friday and look ahead to Saturday. Takes on a little different dimension now. The only question, Scott, is what it looks like with Arkansas and Missouri State both being able to utilize their weekend starters, because these midweek games are a chess match unlike any other, because even in that last game, Arkansas finally took off when I think the Bears ran out of pitching, and Joey had to get really creative there in the last inning or two just to try and piece it together. So I think it maintains a lot of its luster, but it also adds the weekend starters into the equation.
Brett, I was watching a little bit of the Southeastern Conference tournament on the streaming, and the announcers on it were very adamant about the fact that Arkansas should have a regional game. They should be there. Well, they're not. They're in Lawrence, Kansas. It's 4,500 people, and I think the tickets are all gone. How do you, as a Razorback supporter and director, how do you feel about that?
I know the fans are a little bit upset. I think they feel like it's their right at times to host because of their facility and whatnot. But I think we've gotten past, in recent years, the NCAA kind of leaning towards situations where you can get the biggest or best stadiums. I think we've had to move past that a bit, especially when you start slotting 17 through 32 and you're trying to find equitable regionals. I think the situation with Arkansas is that for the longest period over that last month, they were on the wrong side of that bubble. And then they kept winning. And I don't know if the committee got a little bit lazy, not giving them credit for winning the 3 games in the tournament. They lost the opening game at Kentucky with their Friday night pitcher and Hunter Dietz. And that's something they hadn't done for a while. I think we all assumed it was going to be tough to win that series. Well, darn it if they don't win the final 2 games to win another series. They're 7th of 10 in the SEC that they won. They go to Hoover. They haven't done extremely well in Hoover in recent years. And then darn it if they don't win 1, 2, and 3 games, including games against top 10 teams in Texas and Auburn. They felt like they had done enough to host. I think they were surprised when they didn't. The RPI still was a bit of an outlier. All the other metrics seem to probably indicate they should have been a host. But I know it's been a tough pill to swallow for a lot of the fans. I think the team assumed for the longest time they weren't. And then I think it was a little bit of a blow at the very end after their success at Hoover when they found out they didn't. All along, I thought it was going to be Nebraska or Kansas, and that was probably going to be the case. I think they got a better draw in Kansas than they would have in Nebraska. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think Arkansas fans are not only upset about not hosting, but they're upset about who some of those were who were hosting. When they compared results with Mississippi State and people like that. But wanted to ask you, Brett, your level of confidence with this Arkansas baseball team going into the postseason versus past years. I mean, it seems like Hunter Dietz has become that ace that they needed. He stayed healthy. He's been really good. But after that, Gabe Gackel on down, it seems like it's been a little bit of flip a coin. Offense doesn't seem to have the bona fide stars it's had other than Kojal and a couple others, Helfrich. What is your level of assessing this team compared to the last maybe 8 to 10 years of Arkansas going into the postseason?
I think I probably agree with most of your points. I feel like, especially over the course of a 3-game weekend, where Arkansas fans are most concerned is being able to win 3 games. I think they have confidence that they can play well in 1 or 2. What they haven't done well over the entirety of the SEC calendar, even when they've won 7 of their 10 series, is being able to play well on Sundays. So often in recent years, they were really good on Fridays to start off the series, and oftentimes they were pretty good about winning games 3 on a Sunday. In a regional, if you're playing 3 games or 4 games, whatever that looks like, you have to have enough pitching to get to the finish line. That's a question. When you give up 26 runs to a Georgia team on a Sunday, or a Oklahoma team spanks you in game 3 because you are out of pitching, that is a concern. That puts a lot of pressure on Dietz or Gackel. We'll see who DVH wants to throw. I would assume it would still be Gackel. I'm going to guess that he's going to host or hold Dietz for a possible 1-0 game on Saturday. But he respects this Bears offense. I like Joey a lot. I like his physical team. I like his veteran players. They can do some damage offensively. If they can get to whomever that starter is, shorten his outing, and get into that bullpen, not only do they have a good chance to win, but even if Arkansas could find a way to get past Missouri State, they're really going to dent them for games 2 and games 3. So Arkansas has to be efficient and effective on the mound. I think they've got enough offense, especially the way they've hit in this last month when it's been an offensive-friendly month. But pitching is certainly at the back end of that bullpen and over the course of the weekend, I think would give a lot of Razorback fans pause.
Brett, for what it's worth, this station that we're on is part of the VEASAN network, which is a gambling network, as I'm sure you know. Well, last night they did the gambling ratings of each of the regionals, and I was listening to it in transit, and the Lawrence regional was one of the first ones that they rated. Well, Arkansas came out as the top favorite to advance from there, followed by Kansas, followed by Missouri State, and followed by Northeastern. And I thought, hey, folks, this Northeastern team is pretty damn good. You don't want to fool around with them at all. Would you agree would you agree it's a pretty good field?
I think so. I think Northeastern is unique because obviously as Midwestern teams don't see them and because they run so much and steal so many bases, Arkansas doesn't really run a ton, nor do they have a lot of teams run against them. That would be a unique matchup. Missouri State is better than I think what most people would understand as a mid-major team. Again, I think it's because of the age. I think it's because of the physicality. There's a lot of teams that come out of non-Power 4 leagues that don't have the Bears' power. They don't look like the Missouri State Bears. I think a lot of times it's easy for an SEC team to look at a non-Power 4 and feel like they should win. But I think there's too much history between these two teams for Arkansas to feel that's the case. And Kansas, I give Kansas a lot of credit because, quite honestly, they've taken care of business with the exception of one weekend where they did not look good at home against West Virginia and they got swept. They actually came to Fayetteville's regional last year, went 2-2, and didn't even get to face the Razorbacks. But they've done extremely well as far as getting into the portal, getting older players. So it is an older regional all the way around. I think probably I would favor Arkansas if I had to from a betting standpoint as well. But again, we'll see what we get. That's the fun part about June because one game can swing a regional one way or another. So I would probably agree with those betting odds. But as I mentioned in my previous answer, I think if Arkansas's 2 starting pitchers do a really good job Friday and Saturday, they will win the regional. If 1 or 2 of them don't, I don't think they can.
Got a local kid here from Lebanon up the road from Springfield, was a mainstay for the Bears for 3 years, Zach Stewart. It's been fun for us to watch him succeed down there and after a slow start. Have Arkansas fans adopted the hair, the Zach Stewart look and his golden locks there, but just a great kid to talk to, kind of talk about his season, what you've seen develop this year.
First of all, he's an incredible kid. He's one of my favorites because every day when I go to the batting cage, he comes over, he shakes my hand. He's got the biggest smile on his face. He's got flowing locks. He's in a good mood no matter if he's hitting or he's not. He's enjoyed this experience. Even at the beginning of the year when he wasn't playing, Dave Van Horn said, I looked at his countenance. Was he unhappy? Was an older kid? If he's sitting on the bench, is he going to be a problem? He said it was anything but. It was exactly the opposite. Whether he was playing or not, it didn't affect him. He did probably, and I think he would admit this, dealing with SEC pitching on an everyday basis isn't the most enjoyable thing of all time because for a while his numbers in non-con games versus conference games, there was a pretty big disparity. I think this last month has seen a lot of homers, but also some strikeouts. He is still giving them something in the middle of the lineup they would not have had without him. I think it's the older physical veteran player. I think they've enjoyed having Zach, and I think he's swinging for more power now than he has at any point over the course of this season. The funny story was when he was going through a bit of a lull, Dave Van Horn has always joked, I'll let that hair go as long as you're hitting. Well, when he wasn't hitting, he joked with Nate Thompson, as you guys know him well, and he said he might have to get his hair cut. And Zach actually got on the phone and called Dave, and he said, how short do you want it? Dave said, no. I don't want you to cut your hair. I want you to hit. But he said the fact that he was willing to call him up and say, how short do you want my hair, indicated he was all about the team.
Brett, did you make the trip up here the first time, Missouri State? So
I did, and I had never been to a game there for whatever reason. I had thought about attending some of those midweek games. It had been a few years since Arkansas had been in Springfield. And I'll be honest with you, I drove up with a coworker, and about the 7th inning, I thought, I've seen enough. Can we go? I've been here 3 hours. And he goes, we're staying for the whole thing. Well, we were sitting down the left field line, and when Bogenpol left his bat, I stood up. I started walking to the foul pole where my car was, half assuming I would find the baseball out there when I got there. But when the lights were flickering, I was gone because that was 4+ hours in. But I made the trip.
You remember when Zach came up to bat for the first time, Arkansas was in scoring position. The fans were giving him hell, as you might expect, and he gets a base hit right through the hole, drives in the run, and here come the chorus of boos. It was good-natured, I will say that. But
it was either booze or stews.
Stews, yeah. He thought there might have been a few stews in there. I did tell him after the game or a couple of days later, I said, I've never seen someone try to hit a ball 800 feet, maybe 450. You were trying to hit one 800 feet, and he nodded and agreed because he took some of the wildest attacks he's ever taken, whether it was the Greek students that were there or the fans that were both booing or cheering. But he did also say, and this is Zach Stewart, he said, that was the most fun atmosphere I've ever played in. So I think he enjoyed the whole experience.
Brett, before we let you go, it's a good time to be a Razorback this month. Women's golf got to the national semis. We have a local girl, Reagan Zabilski, who finished her great career down there and very proud of what she's done. Softball, College World Series trip this week. As that's been a good program for years. Are people just now kind of figuring that out maybe nationwide?
I think probably over the last couple of years, and I'm headed to Oklahoma City tonight because I've just got to be there. I hope the weather cooperates. I don't know if Mother Nature will, but when you start talking about women's sports in the SEC, they've been very top heavy in the sense that you have some elite teams where you can be 6th or 7th in your conference and 5th or 6th in the country. I mean, it doesn't even make sense sometimes, but this is. If this isn't the best team they've had, it's probably the second best, but it is the first that gets to go to Oklahoma City. So they're going to face a Nebraska team that has 3 former Razorbacks on it. If that's not one thing, if you don't get to Oklahoma City, 3 of your former players are on the team that you're facing. That's how good you are. They left for maybe what was considered a better opportunity. So, the popularity of softball has been just incredible over the last decade, and maybe with all women's sports, but certainly softball. In Arkansas, with a stadium that seats 3,300 and is sold out on most days and is competing for championships, has been a fun sideline to what has been a baseball program that's tried to do the same thing. So I'll be there tonight for the first time watching them play in Oklahoma City, and curious to see what they might be able to do this week and beyond.
Very good. Hey, again, we appreciate it, Brad. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
You got it, guys. Enjoy the conversation.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Brett Dolan visiting with us from Fayetteville. We'll take a timeout on the starting lineup. Back in a second.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
You got it.